Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Alright, so we're going to do my annual State of the Dungeon Dive channel and collection video that I started last year. So this is the second annual State of the Dungeon Dive. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who watched my videos and commented on them, even the negative comments. I appreciate you guys and gals, everybody watching, and I'm hoping that you continue to like what I'm doing. I know this is a kind of a very niche channel focusing solely on one kind of game, so I think growth is going to be slow, and growth was a little slower than I would have liked. I really would have liked to have been up to like 2,000 subscribers by now. So I know probably if I expanded the kinds of games I covered, that might grow a little faster, but I'm just not interested in other kinds of games really. So growth is going to be slow. I guess that's to be expected from a niche kind of channel like this. But last year when I did this video, I said that I wanted to do at least a video a week, and that would have averaged out to about 50 or so videos during the year. But I ended up doing almost 80 videos in 2019. So I'm pretty happy with the consistency, and I hope you guys are too. It didn't really feel the first year I did it, I struggled a little bit to get videos done, and I didn't kind of fall into a nice rhythm, but I think I'm falling into a good rhythm, and I'm hoping to continue that throughout 2020. So one of the things I like to talk about before we go over my collection and stuff are games that I have sold over the past year, and I've sold quite a few, and I need to sell quite a few more because there are some big box games coming this year. Hello Dungeon Universalis. I have no idea where that thing is going in my room because I have a very small house and a very tiny gaming room, so I can't keep everything. But let's see. So I have a list here of some of the games that I have sold, and that includes Village Attacks, The Shared Dream and all of its expansions. I liked the idea of that game. I just could not get into its very boring look. The graphic design is very bad. Gem Rush, a neat little game, but more of a competitive kind of lighter game, and just one that I just never saw, would probably never get to the table again. It's small, so kind of easy to sell. I can't remember if I sold Conan at this. I think Conan was in my to sell pile, but I ended up selling that. Tiny Epic Quest I sold. Let's see, the Dark Castle big box I got completely rid of because everything for that game, all the expansions fit in the tiny little box, so there's no reason at all to keep that huge big collector's box. Deep Space 6 just ended up really not being my kind of game. Zombie 15, I remember I just watched the video and I did mention that I was probably going to sell that just because of the time it takes to set up compared to the time it takes to play. Just wasn't worth it. Fantasy Path and the D&D Adventure Begins, two little small kind of introductory box games I ended up selling. Talisman 3rd edition, I took some of the cards and I'm using those in 2nd edition. I boxed up a whole bunch of the other stuff, and I'm going to hang the board up on my wall as a kind of a piece of art, but that box was just so big I couldn't justify keeping that. The 1st edition of Warrior Knights, again, I would have liked to have kept that just for my Games Workshop collection, but the chances of me ever getting like a 5-hour competitive game to the table with my group and the way that I like to play games was just not going to happen. Not worth the space. Samurai Spirit, which is pretty much just, in my opinion, inferior ghost stories, so that one went. And then Ryan Lockett's Artifacts Inc., which is just not my kind of game. It's a good game, but I actually ended up giving that one to a friend, so if we want to play it at a bar some night or over at their house, we can still play it. So yeah, we're going to jump in to start taking a look at the collection and how it's changed over the years. Quite a few things have been added A lot of the stuff is staying the same on the shelves, so you're going to notice not a lot of movement around. But yeah, these are always fun to do, so hang in there, and I'll be right back with the collection. All right, welcome back. So we're going to start over here on the right-hand side of these shelves, and we have Escape from Dulce, of course, which I just did a review of. Fantastic game, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing some preview coverage of the expansions for this. Now, I'm going back and forth on how I'm going to be approaching Kickstarter coverage. I have decided that I'm really not going to do it preview coverage unless it's a game that I really, really love, or a game that I have a super invested interest in seeing it funded, mainly because I want to play it. I don't want this channel to become just an advertisement for Kickstarter games, because there's already so many of those, and I don't really find them very useful, because to tell you the truth, it's like, I don't know, I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't think another one would be useful, because so many other channels like was it King of Average and Rolling Solo and One Stop Co-op Shop, all these guys, they do a ton of Kickstarter preview videos for these types of games, so we don't need more. I want to focus more on games that are done, because that's what I feel. I like talking about that more than just doing like an advertisement. But if a game is something I really love, like this, and the company wants me to do a preview or something, I will. And they have contacted me for that. So then we have Widower's Wood and the Undercity. Excuse me. Zombicide Black Plague, which I'm still keeping. I'm thinking about actually just getting rid of this game, of the cardboard stuff, to see if somebody wants it for free, and keeping the plastic. Because with Zombicide Invader, which I was not going to keep, but I decided to keep, and I actually really like it. I think it's probably the best of the Zombicide games. I wish it was fantasy themed, but I don't really see the point in having both. I like the theme on this one better, but this is just a better game, and it's good enough. Big Trouble in Little China, Shadows of Malice, which I just picked up, this and the expansion. Looking forward to getting that on the table. This is the first edition, but you can just download the rules for the second edition, the new printing that he said he changed some significant rules, and you can play the first edition with the new rules. Aftermath, of course, done a lot of coverage on that. The Mice and Mystic. This is my Jerry Hawthorne stack here. Yeah, I've talked a lot about those games before. We have Hellboy, Wander, The Cult of Barnacle Bay, the two Super Fantasy games. I'm going to probably get rid of one of these this year. I wish they could both fit back into one box, but they can't, because the components are kind of oddly shaped in those. V Commandos, Hellboy, that's the Hellboy expansion up there. Two of the big box expansions in one box. Cthulhu Death May Die, the main box there. We've got Hexplorit and Adventure Games, The Dungeon. Looking forward to the new Hexplorit. I'm glad I'm into that game now. Now this game arrived this year in a trade I did with my buddy Dennis. Cave Evil. I know, a holy grail game for quite a few people, and this is probably going to piss off a lot of people, but the chances of me ever actually playing Cave Evil are slim to none. I've always wanted Cave Evil just as kind of a piece of art, because I think it has some of the best art in the business. It is so bold and unique and dark. I love it. I am going to do a video on it. I want to read the rules, learn how to play it, but I want to do a video just going through the cards and looking at the art and the theme, which is so strong in that game. That's really why I wanted it. I don't really know if I have any friends who would actually want to play that with me. We'll see. Then we have Folklore the Affliction, and of course the new expansion will probably be coming out this year. Maybe not. I would actually be surprised if it comes out this year. Space Cadets, Myth. We will get to the Myth series this year, I promise. Since I finished the big Warhammer Quest series last year, I have time now for another big kind of in-depth look at a game. Madara, Dungeon Degenerates, Hand of Doom, with the expansion back there, and also 2 copies of Dark Venture, which I will get around, I promise I will get around to very soon announcing a competition, or not, just a contest for that to give away a copy. And then we come to the Shadows of Brimstone corner. So 2 big boxes of SOB stuff, a box of miniatures. So what I've done is I've made this kind of like smaller set to play. And so it includes most of the stuff from Forbidden Fortress, with a few others. I picked some of my favorite enemies to fight, and then I put together just this deck of, or this box of cards, that so I only have to use this. I don't have to use all of the other cards or this big binder here. And then this box has some of the bigger minis in it, and the Forbidden Fortress box has a whole bunch of stuff, and then this regular City of the Ancients box. So trying to get that game under control, because it is absolutely not under control, the amount of stuff for Shadows of Brimstone. And I think I have one more little set coming from the Forbidden Fortress Kickstarter, like the Feudal Village. That wave of stuff should be coming. And then we have, let's see, Massive Darkness, Vampire Hunters, Aeon's End. You guys, I saw that in my top 10 for the year, or top 5 for the year. Really like that game a lot. Secrets of the Lost Tomb, Dark Souls, Fallen Land. I did a video on that last year. Really fun game. Post-apocalyptic game. My Descent stuff, which that should probably be sold as well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It takes up a lot of room, and I definitely probably, the chances of me playing that, probably pretty slim. Relic. Then there's my shelf of normal games. We've got Puzzle Strike, Medieval Academy, Lords of Vegas, Dragon and Flagon, and Acquire. Then we've got over here Doomrock, Dark, Darker, Darkest, Millennium Blades, and Defenders of the Last Stand. There's a little vinyl of a reggae band I was playing in for a bit. Vault of Dragons, I just picked up this to play with my buddies who we play, you know, just kind of normal games with. I've heard this is really good. I've heard this is kind of a hidden gem. And it's based off of, I think, the Sons of Anarchy game, but it's a fantasy version, so I'm way more into that than I am biker stuff. Horrified, fantastic game. This one probably should have made my top 5, or I probably should have at least mentioned it in my year-end review, because it is, I think, the best of the gateway games. I've played this game with my wife and our friends who are all not gamers, and it has gone over. It's an absolute hit. This game is brilliant. I love it. It's simple, but it's fun. It has good strategy. It has good theme, great art and look and colors. Highly recommended. Horrified. I know everybody's raving about it, so I'm definitely not unique in that. City of Chaos, Posthuman, Zaya. And then we've got Fallout, Dungeon Quest, the revised edition, Dungeon Run, Escape from 100 Million BC. This interesting game here, Return, The Hero's Journey Home, comes in a burlap sack. I will be doing a video of this. I've wanted that for a while, and it came back into print. It's a very simple little card game, but lots of cool art and theme. Dungeons and Dragons Card Masters. This should probably go on the sale pile. Execution Force, Warlock of Firetop Mountain, Gore Chosen, Space Marine Adventures, Warhammer Underworld Shadespire, a game I still love, but I just don't get to play it that often. 2-player games are the hardest for me to get to the table. And then what do we have here? This is my big printout of the Advanced Hero Quest, the Enhanced Advanced Hero Quest, which are rules that contain every every piece of rule for that game in one. Advanced Space Crusade, Deathwatch Overkill, Space Hulk 4th Edition, the Games Workshop Dungeon Rooms, Blackstone Fortress Escalation, Blackstone Fortress the main box, Silver Tower, Warhammer Quest, Shadows over Hammerhall, the original Warhammer Quest, Mordheim, which I'm probably going to sell this year. Again, I just don't really play those kinds of skirmish games. And most of this is unpunched, so I think I could get a pretty good sum for that, and it would free up some room and make somebody happy. Some Talisman stuff, Talisman 2nd Edition. Let's see, the adversary cards for Silver Tower and Hammerhall. We've got some minis here for Hero Quest. And then a big box of Advanced Hero Quest stuff. Chainsaw Warrior, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, of course, Talisman 2nd Edition, 1st edition of Dungeon Quest. Then down here we've got Dead Men Tell No Tales, Dream Wars, really flawed but really a cool thematic game, but the rules are really flawed, and some of them, the scenarios are really impossible to win playing a low player count, so this should probably be sold at some point. Deep Madness, again, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that. That is taking up a lot of room, and I don't know if it's doing me any good. Fury of Dracula, Prophecy. I really want to get a video of Prophecy to the table soon. That's a really fun game. Sometimes I jokingly refer to it as Better Talisman. Perdition's Mouth, Abyssal Rift. Even more stuff in there now with the new little expansion, the Cannibal something that came out. Elder Sign, this is new to the collection. I ended up picking that up with the expansion that adds the Arkham Streets, I think. I can't remember what it's called, but it turns it into almost more of like a little more of an exploration style game to it. So really fun game, really fun Yahtzee style dice game. And then of course Glooms of Kilforth, and then that new bigger expansion should be coming out soon. Lost Valley, Doom, Ghost Stories, an all-time favorite of mine I've mentioned before. I ended up combining Temple of Elemental Evil and the Legend of Drizzt game all into one box. Skull Tales here, hogging up space to hopefully one day be a good game. Mertwig's Maze again there. And then, oh yeah, this came in this year. I'll probably never play it, but I love the Fafhrd and Grey Mouser stuff, and I like Dungeon Crawl Classics for the art and the world building and all that kind of stuff. So picked up this campaign box. And then my Legends of Andor stuff, I really want to get that down into at least 2 boxes and get rid of this expansion in one of the boxes. The thing is those games have so much stuff in them. Of Dreams and Shadows, that's another one that should probably go on the sell pile. Neat game, great art, but it's just, there's so many other games that are similar and like they're co-op fantasy adventure games. And then it has an expansion, and the expansion is really weird because you have to play it kind of after this. You can't just combine them, so I don't really like expansions like that. I like expansions that just add to the base game. I did end up picking up this Sands of Al-Kalam expansion for Runebound 2nd Edition, and that's a really neat expansion. I need to do a video series on Runebound 2nd Edition because that's a really fun game. Then we got the little Dungeoneer section here, and Condottiere, of course, a game that I will never be without. Runebound 3rd Edition, Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, just played that the other night. Super fun game still. I love that game, it's so good. Fireteam Zero stuff, Escape the Dark Castle. Like I said, I fit everything, all of the expansions in the original small box. That giant collector's box is just a huge waste of space. And then I ended up putting the Warhammer Quest adventure card game and the Terrinoth adventure card game into this Warhammer Quest box because they both fit, and I doubt there's really going to be expansions for those. I know not for this one, but for the Terrinoth version, especially with the shakeup that's going on at FGG right now. We might be lucky to see anything. out of them that isn't Arkham Horror, Star Wars, or Marvel. They might as well, Disney might as well just buy FFG at this point because of their kind of slavish devotion to Star Wars and Marvel. Star Saga, which I picked up a Kickstarter pack of that this year. A Touch of Evil still. Tomb, Machina Arcana. This is the first edition. I have, of course, the second edition set up on the table right now to learn today and to hopefully do a video on that tomorrow. Really fun game. My review in a nutshell is I would say it is a rewarding frustration. We'll talk more about that later. Life and Legend, which I have been really jonesing to get to the table and do a video on that recently. Interesting little game. Up here we have a little bit of a empty space for some games. Of course, Kingdom Death Monster, Fortune and Glory, Seventh Continent with the expansion. My buddy sold me his Kickstarter of that this year because he will never play it. And then Escape, The Curse of the Temple, definitely new this year. I bought it for a nice light game I can play with my wife and our friends. That big gray brown box up there is the Kickstarter stuff for Zombicide Invader. Then we have the course-based stuff. I did pick up Crossmaster Quest this year. It was really cheap and I thought it looked kind of interesting. I haven't played it yet. Of course, Here's Negan. And then I did also pick up the Under the Shadows of the Dragon, the expansion for Return of the Heroes for part of my classic game collection. Dawn of the Zeds. There's my Darklight stuff. Some Cthulhu Death May Die, The Black Goat of the Woods, and Season 2 boxes. Lord of the Rings, Journeys of Middle-earth, Claustrophobia, Journey, and then Darkest Night, Tales of the Arabian Nights, Hand of Fate, Ordeals, and Jamaica. And then over here, of course, we have the classic gaming shelf with the Dragon Quest, Mutant Chronicles, Dragonfire, Dungeon, the Dungeons and Dragons Fantasy Adventure board game with one of the expansions. These things, my God, are they expensive. They're selling on eBay now for like $300. It's insanity. Nobody pay that, please. They're not worth it. They're cool games, but they are not worth the price that people are paying. An extra copy of Talisman City, Hero Quest, Dark World, the Classic Dungeon, and Dungeon Strike. I also picked up for a nostalgia reason this year this little box set of the Dungeons and Dragons, the TSR adventure books, the TSR Choose Your Own Adventures. I played the crap out of these as a kid. Played, read, whatever. I absolutely love these covers. They are so nice. And this one especially I read over and over again as a kid. And I really like they're like these linen finished covers. They were really nicely made books for the time. And this set I got on eBay was in pristine condition. Absolutely love it. And then of course we have here some of the oversized minis and just a nice little collector's shelf. I like to have kind of some neat stuff displayed. And then some of my RPG books and a few more things up here. There's my Talisman 3rd edition map that's going to go up on a wall. And then my minis have moved over here. So one thing I did pick up for Kingdom Death Monster this year was that 10th anniversary edition of the Survivors. And up here we have more minis. And then over there, those are all my boxes of minis. And yeah, that is about it for the Dungeon Dive collection as we zip around over here again. Try not to show you my floor that needs to be vacuumed. But yeah, so I guess I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed taking a look at the games on my shelf. And I know there's going to be lots of cool stuff being added this year and hopefully lots of stuff leaving the collection to make room for that new stuff. So, all right, guys, well, have a good day and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.